Hi everyone, my narrative commentary will deconstruct the ideal body image that women in society believe they need to achieve in order to be seen as perfect and beautiful. It is hard to believe that women will do anything in order to achieve a certain ideal body stereotype that media and society has shown us on television, magazines, and movies. So the question that I will examine throughout this presentation is how women got from this image 1 to this image 2. So looking back at image 1, this is Marilyn Monroe, who in the 1950s was called the original sex icon. She wore a size 14, she was 5.5 feet tall, and she weighed between 118 to 130 pounds approximately. If you were to compare those numbers to a Victoria's Secret model, such as Alessandra Murillo, I can't really say her name, in image 3, she is 5'10", weighs about 112 pounds, and she wears a dress size 2. After comparing those two completely different body stereotypes, this is a dramatic difference in body size and shape. How did women in our society why do women in society think that going from being voluptuous and curvy and solid like Marilyn Monroe to a skinnier and less curvier frame like Victoria's Secret model Alessandra Ambrosio? If Marilyn Monroe were still alive today, considering today's standards of the ultra-thin body image, seen as shown in image 2, she would be considered chubby and overweight for her body type. In the 1950s, women were becoming more interested in feminism, which ultimately led to women breaking free from the dominance of male society. Women wanted to break free from the restrictions that they have been stuck with for years. They wanted to distance themselves from the role of the housewife or the role of the mother. Later on, around the 1960s, Twiggy became very popular, and Twiggy's in image number 4, as seen here. She was one of the models that replaced the more female figure. The ideal image was slim, not voluptuous and curvy like Marilyn Monroe. Since women were trying to break free from their traditional roles of being a housewife and mother, they determined equal rights against men. The ideal body image became skinnier and more boyish in order for them to prove a point to society, which is basically the example of Twiggy in image 4. Basically, this is an example of Butler's theory about repetition and how if something is repeated over and over again in society, it eventually becomes a norm. And in this case, the skinny ideal body image has become the norm because it's been repeated so much in society through magazines, through movies, through television, and the movie stars are prime examples of this concept that they show to be more skinny, and if you don't have that type of stereotype for that body size, then you're not seen as beautiful or not accepted by society because you're not beautiful and you don't fit that skinny frame, less curved stereotype. The skinny body stereotype has become more and more popular in society. It is basically the desired norm for women that they want to achieve, and if they don't achieve this body image, they'll be seen as ugly again and not accepted by society. And this stereotype is very degrading towards women and their mental health and just the way they perceive themselves when they look in the mirror. In the 1980s and the 1990s, models such as Cindy Crawford and Kate Moss, which are images 5 and 6. This is Cindy Crawford, and this is Kate Moss. So let's focus on Cindy Crawford. She was one of the models popular in the 1980s. She was different, not because she was extremely skinny like, you know, Kate Moss or Twiggy. She was more toned. She brought basically the butt, the hips, and the breasts back into the supermodel world, giving models more toned figure and just more like really prevalent exercise was happening during this time period too as well. Women became crazy with their bodies. They wanted to have like butts of steel or buns of steel and washboard abs that were rock hard and solid. In the 1990s, it switched back to Kate Moss was basically the icon girl for Calvin Klein, but she used drugs such as cocaine and heroin in order to achieve her slim figure that you see here. During that time period, in the 1990s, women had a new power in order to find their own identity. They found their power in resistance, the discipline to deprive oneself. Women like Lindsay Lohan or Hilary Duff, this is Lindsay Lohan in image 7, and this is Hilary Duff in image 8. Those are before or now and then pictures. Let's focus on Lindsay Lohan. You can see that Lindsay Lohan definitely has changed her body type from the image on the left to the image on the right. She basically changed her image over the years because magazine tabloids were calling her overweight and chubby, and since those comments were made, it really affected her mentally and emotionally, and she decided to change her body type. And a lot of the times women can result not just by dieting and eating healthy, but they can result to battling with drug addictions and eating disorders in order to achieve that cultural stereotype. Hilary Duff in image 8, her body type isn't as drastic if you look from the image on the right to the image on the left. The image on the right is before and the image on the left is like after. She did lose a lot of weight, but she wasn't chubby at all to begin with, neither was Lindsay Lohan, but they figured that since society was telling them that they were fat, overweight, or they just didn't fit the stereotype, they weren't seen as beautiful in society. It seems to me that the cycle of being curvy and slim has been going back and forth throughout the decades. There could be many reasons why this cycle is so pervasive, which means it keeps coming up over and over again. The question I ask myself is, why would women want this for themselves? Why would women change themselves in order to achieve an ideal body image and stereotype that does not seem realistic, healthy, or sustainable for women to achieve? Media has seemed to have a major influence on women and men's perspective of a perfect slim figure. For example, image 9 is an image that what models tend to look like in magazines now, or even just on TV. It really just illustrates how thin the ideal body image has become for women. A quote from the Dissatisfaction with Our Bodies and Eating Disorders website: "The media has surrounded women with so many images like these, and our culture has accepted this body type to be the ideal. It makes sense that most women feel that their bodies are inadequate because they are basing their comparisons to these super slender body images that will come in contact with every day. However, the truth is that the majority of females will never meet this cultural ideal because only 2% of women are thinnest fashion models, as seen on TV. Based on statistics, the average American woman is 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighs 140 pounds, or the average American model is 5'11" and weighs 117 pounds. Advertising in magazines, which is basically seen on image 10, this is an image of Kate Moss. According to the website Dissatisfaction with Our Bodies and Eating Disorders, the images are presented in advertising as designed to create an illusion, a fantasy ideal that will keep women constantly consuming. The influential power of the diet, fashion, cosmetic, and body industries and their advertising strategies target this. This quote basically states that the mass media wants women to think that they can achieve this ideal if they adhere to the instructions on following a prescribed diet and exercise regimen. And a lot of the times, the images that you see are airbrushed. They're distorted. They have soft focus cameras and editing, so they don't look as real as they seem on magazine paper. And this is basically image 11, which talks about like how, or what you see like on a magazine cover to get women to want to change their body because they can look happier and more beautiful, and they can follow this beauty regimen or follow this dieting, and it'll basically give you the body that you desire and what you see on the front cover with these magazine models. These mass media images of skinny and beautiful models make viewers of the magazines and television shows feel dissatisfied with when it comes to their bodies. The dissatisfaction with their body images will lead to eating disorders and drugs if these women get obsessed and extremely involved in achieving this ideal body image. From the same website I listed above, 90–80% of women and girls are dissatisfied with their body. This leads me back to the theory of Butler. Since this desired body image is always being thrown into our faces every time we turn on the TV or look through a magazine, women are dissatisfied with their body image, which puts themselves and their bodies into dangerous situations such as drugs and eating disorders in order to achieve an image due to the fact that the norm in society keeps happening over and over again, that women should be skinny, and if they do not fit into the category of normal, then they are not seen as beautiful because they are overweight, big boned, or not a size 2. On my last note, I did find this picture on Instagram. It's basically an iPhone application, and it says that basically if you were transformed to Barbie, would I be perfect now? And on that note, I think that everyone should be confident in their own bodies, and you should stay healthy and achieve a healthy weight due to exercise and dieting, not because of drugs or eating disorders or diet pills or anything like that. And because if you were to go into put yourself into those dangerous situations, potentially you could harm yourself, which could ultimately ruin the quality of your life. And thank you for watching my video, my narrative commentary.